Alright, so my parents delivered food for the week. That means I'm ready for my lesson with Emilius. Guys, this is Emilius. Oh, you guys can't hear him now? Oh no, give me one sec. Okay, I think they can hear you now.
Can you people hear me?
Can you guys hear Emilius? It worked! Okay, awesome.
They thought I was your pet?
Oh no, Marooney. Because pets type into a chat. That's how this works.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Honestly, story checks out as always. So, Amelia says he doesn't have any games. I want to say that's incorrect. You always have games. Doesn't really matter if they are good or if they're bad. Any games are still games that we can take a look at and, you know, potentially... Alright, so you just lost your last 5 games. Oh
Rip.
no. Oh no! Rest in peace. We'll just take a look at a couple of these of your most recent games and try to save life.
Sure.
I'm gonna skip over all the bullet games. I only look at the
Please.
Blitz games. Alright. Alright. Bishop
Yay.
takes, king takes. So this is, the engine thinks this is really good for you because he castled onto a side of the board in which there's hardly any protection on. And this is one of those moments where it looks like you missed a tactic, right? It looks like you missed knight to a4 with a fork.
What did I actually do?
You played bishop takes c5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not as good, is it?
Unfortunate. It's alright to say my forehead is shiny. It's fine. It's just shiny forehead.
Did someone just
It's
say
alright. Yeah, somebody just said my forehead's very shiny. It's alright. You know what? It's okay. I'll accept it. Because of all the knowledge inside. Exactly. That's what making my forehead so shiny today. That's precisely how this works.
Have you ever tried polishing your forehead, like just making it extra shiny?
I am not. Have you?
No.
See, this is exactly how a professional lesson with Emilius goes. Get sidetracked.
I feel like I should have taken that queen. If I didn't, that would be unfortunate.
What you did is okay, but you have a better move than what you played.
I can fork the rook and the king on b6.
Yes, you can do that, but you also just did that after this, right? So you still did that,
Oh,
which is good.
I did.
Right.
Okay.
But you have something even better here.
Oh, pin the queen with the rook on c1. I'm stupid.
Exactly. There we go. So you can... What the heck?
Your Chrome ran out of memory. That's amazing.
Okay, I see.
Okay, so I could have gotten a free queen here.
Yes.
Wow. Wait, now I'm forgetting why I lost this game. What did I do?
You did this.
How did I blunder this?
You took the pawn when you shouldn't have.
Oh right, the rook fork. Now I'm remembering.
Yeah, the rook fork, right? Okay, so
Oh my
it looks
God.
like you're just losing this game entirely because of tactics. I mean, you played a great game. You were like completely winning and everything. You like traded off pieces correctly. You were simplified correctly. But it all comes down to like, hey, if you blunder, it's a little bit sad if you blunder. But you know what's a great move here? I want you to think of a great move for white here. It's not like it's winning or anything, but this is the part where I'm going to teach you to be a little bit tricky.
F5?
Yeah, F5 is great.
It's also one of the only moves that exists.
You
I
have
had a
3
1 in
moves.
4 chance of guessing that.
You don't even have 1 in 4. You have 1 in 3 chance of guessing that because you can't even go to B4.
Oh right.
So
Okay, so lost on tactics. Noted.
lost on tactics. Exactly. Oh my god. Wow.
I
Very
don't know what's going on with your browser, but it's really not having a good day.
Yeah, my browser is like, nope, my memory is totally full. Okay, so this looks like a very short game.
Oh no, that's probably bad.
That's probably very bad, yes.
I'm sure this is embarrassing. Then I
Oh,
messed
God.
something up really. Oh god. Yeah, there we go.
I love the move 7, no bishop. Relatable. 3 seconds in. Yep, I'm gonna mark this game down as also lost on tactics. That was not great. Yes. So we know why you're losing 2 of your games. Let's see if the third one is any different.
You know, you'd think that I'd get a little better at this of doing puzzles, but no, it doesn't seem to be helping. Actually, I end up in this opening a lot of times. I really should look up what to actually do here because this happens to me quite literally like every 3rd or 4th game, and I actually am just guessing.
Okay, so this opening is called the Scotch
I've
game.
never even heard of it.
Okay, well now you have, and usually you take with the pawn.
Oh.
And the reason for this is because after knight takes, you don't want to take back with the knight. Because then he takes back with the queen, and then all of a sudden...
You don't have a center.
Yeah, you don't have a center, and he has a good queen on d4 because now you also don't have a knight to kick out this queen. And you don't want to play something like c5 because then you're going to have a backwards pawn because your pawn can almost never push to d5.
Huh. Okay.
Huh. Okay, there we go. Okay, so back to the Scotch. So the position you do want to get into is after e takes. Oh.
This also feels kind of awkward, though. Like, what prevents him from taking with the knight, and then I can't do anything? I still don't have a center, and all I can do is recapture.
Right. So for this one, you now play knight to f6. So if he pushes the e5 pawn, what are you going to play here?
I could take it with a knight.
You do want to take it with your knight. Yes, this is correct.
Because my other suggestion was bishop to b4.
Why is bishop to b4 not that great? Oh my god, I am so annoyed at this. You don't play bishop b4 because he's attacking your knight already. So after that, then he would play c3. Now going to attack
that doesn't really help, does it?
Yes, that doesn't really help. So what you would play here is just knight takes, and if he plays queen to e2, which looks a little bit scary, you have queen to e7, which blocks it.
Why not bishop to d6, for example?
Well, actually, but the reason you don't want to play d6 is because look at what his queen is doing. He's not only attacking your knight, he is also pinning your knight.
Oh, so you're saying you want to unpin it as well, because otherwise the next move is going to be like d4 or something and just get the free knight.
Well, f4, but yes, exactly.
Sorry, f4.
Yeah. Now they play something like knight to c3, or they might take your knight on c6, right? With knight to c6, you play b takes c6.
So capture towards center then?
Yeah, you capture here towards the center very specifically because if they play e5, you play queen to e7. And this is like very important to remember because then they're forced to play queen to e2, and then you play knight to d5, and then if they play c4, you have bishop to a6, which is another pin, so you just really bother white. And people are guaranteed to play at least e5 against you, and once you put your knight here, I don't really know if they're going to remember to play c4. But this e5 move I see a lot, and then I see a lot of people move their knight back or something, but you have to remember to play queen to e7 because you're pinning this pawn, putting pressure on it, and when the queen comes up, then you move your knight. Okay,
so, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I have a better idea how to respond to this now.
Okay,
instead
perfect.
Of just winging it.
And this is also one of those situations where you play bishop takes e4, and that's great because you saw it. And then you took the pawn. Ooh. It was only a bad idea because your opponent didn't see queen to e3, which is a pin, attacking your knight, attacking your bishop still, and your bishop has nowhere to defend this knight, so you would have had to like move it, and this is a free bishop or this is a free knight.
It still ends up pretty bad for me, I think.
Probably, yes. We already should not have taken on g2 because this lets his rook come to g1 and then take our g7 pawn. We now are having to protect the f7 pawn. His rook's on the 7th. The knight's now unprotected. The rook is now like kind of stuck defending the h7 pawn. In terms of like a pure pawn for pawn exchange, this is not a very good trade.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But knight e4 is just an outright blunder because of queen to e3, which he doesn't see. And then after that, you just win it back, and then that's a terrible move by him, which you actually now miss the response to.
Why is it terrible? Maybe I can take a pawn on c2, but that's, I guess, the best I can see here.
You did actually play bishop takes c2, which is fine. We can play something like bishop to g6 here.
Oh, now it's trapped. I see.
And then after that, he's probably, you know, just losing the rook and has to give up the rook for the bishop.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. So once again, tactics.
Definitely done that.
Just those kind of ideas. But once you see them, you're a lot more familiar with them. These are pretty niche. See, you did
now
it! Now you did it! There we go, we found it! We did it! See?
I'm doing everything late, I feel.
I mean, it would always be best to do it as soon as it's possible because you never really know what your opponent is able to do in the meantime. Like, what if your opponent's a genius and spots the fact that his rook's stuck? So obviously you want to do it as soon as you can, but hey, in this case, we'll take the free rook. How did you lose this game?
I feel like we keep having this question. How did I lose this game? This is, what, the third time that question's happened?
Well, there's... Okay. I mean, we're just trying to... Okay, well, sure. We would like to not lose pawns.
At this point, I don't have very many of them left, yeah.
Yeah, we would like to not lose them. This is something I do a lot of the time, is I lose my pawns. I mean, in an endgame where you're up one knight and one bishop, your plan for winning is to not play like me and check your opponent around the board, hoping they flag. Your idea is actually to go capture their pawns and create a pass pawn and promote
so I think
it.
I'm taking the wrong lessons from watching your stream.
Yeah, you might be taking the wrong lessons. I'm a streamer. Everybody learns bad habits from me, pays for lessons, and I teach them the right ideas, and then I completely cancel
Creating
that
your
all.
own
Exactly. I'm creating my own
create
customers. Precisely.
This is like lawyers going out and causing people injuries and then going and suing for it.
Alright, so let's see what happened in this game. Okay, we're playing Arai Lopez, the Berlin, and you're playing your bishop on d6. Oh no.
Is that bad?
It is bad. Can you tell me why bishop to d6 is bad?
Well, I mean, it kind of makes it harder to develop the other bishop.
Mm-hmm. Are you aware that you're playing the Berlin?
Okay, so this is gonna sound weird, but even though you had me study the Spanish before, and I recognize this as the Berlin looking at it now, I always think of the Spanish only from the white perspective, so I completely didn't at the time.
Oh no! Okay, so I would say a6 is probably easier to handle.
So, well, then you're losing a pawn, right? Because they take, bishop takes, knight takes. No?
Okay, so as white, when you get to this position, what do you play?
Oh, I back off to a4. Oh.
They're supposed to
Wait,
back...
why do I back off to a4 now that I...
Okay, so you back up
now
to
that
a4.
I'm thinking about it,
Okay, so you
Oh, wait, no, because there's the other thing. If you take it and you take it with... you showed me this trick before. That that pawn, and then you've got the queen out thing that you get back the pawn.
Exactly.
Why am I not making this connection when I'm playing as black, even though I completely know how this works when I'm looking at it from this side?
Alright, so I'm now realizing why less people than I want play the Spanish. Apparently, people are not making the connection that the game is exactly the same if they play it from white on the black side. It is exactly the same. So, you know, it goes both ways.
That all sounds super forehead right now and like super obvious. But for some reason, until you pointed it out just now, I wasn't thinking about it that way. When you flipped the board, it completely made sense all of a sudden.
There's this saying by Karpov that a bad plan is better than no plan. So you always want to be having a plan. So, I mean, this is just not an optimal position to be asking you this in, but what could potentially be a plan for you in this position?
Well, maybe rook e8 so that I can move that bishop out of the way and still defend the pawn.
That's actually great. I love rook to e8. Rook to e8 is exactly on the same idea as bishop to c7. You just really want to get this light square bishop out, exactly like you said. You can always play something like h6 to not let the bishop come here if you're ever worried about this pin. The reason that this is not so good right now is because of d4. It's actually probably good to play bishop to c7 because when they play d4, you always want to be able to take here with a pawn. And the Briar is one of the lines that I play the most, and basically in this position, actually, sorry, my bad. It's, what, c3? How am I forgetting? Yeah, it's c3 first.
You also had to flip it.
Had to flip it, exactly.
Good to know I'm not the only one who
it's okay. I'm like, wait a minute. Is it d3 or c3? What white is trying to do is put their knight on f5, right? So you play g6, stopping their knight from going to f5 and h5, put your bishop on g7, you're defending this knight, you play c6, you play queen to c7, push d5 at some point, and then you're like attacking all these pawns in the center. So these are just ideas in the Spanish that you eventually get at some point once you know enough of these lines. You don't have to worry about it at this point.
Okay, I'm starting to remember this game more precisely. What I remember is this was ended up being a really close position at some point, and I really had no clue what to do. I was just stuck.
Close positions are some of the hardest positions to start making plans in. Everybody struggles with that at some point. So h5, it just doesn't do anything. If we're gonna start in this position and make a plan, right? Where is the only places in this position where we can possibly have a breakthrough?
a4.
Sure, exactly. We spotted it immediately. How do we better prepare for a4?
Queen d7?
Okay, queen d7 is a great idea, but then if he puts his rook on a4?
I could reposition my bishop to d7, but that feels kind of awkward for other reasons.
Sure, but why is it feeling awkward?
Because it's like 2 moves to do it. It feels kind of slow and...
But it's a close position.
Yeah, I guess it's not going anywhere anyways, right?
Right. There is absolutely nothing that's happening in this position, so you might as well go for it. This is one of those positions where you might think it's hard to play, but your opponent has nothing to do either, right? It's just very, very closed. He has no pawn breakthroughs, actually. You're the only person with pawn breakthroughs, so you have a very slight advantage in that sense.
He'd need to push h4 first, which is really the problem, because that loses him g4 right now. Well, he could push g3 now, and then reposition his queen to defend.
Right, but that's probably going to take so many moves, right?
Yeah, even my 2-move awkward thing doesn't feel nearly as awkward now that we're comparing it to this.
Exactly. So it's obviously a very different position if it's a close position and your opponent has good chances for attacking. So the whole point when you get in those kind of close positions is that you have to find breakthroughs, or you just have to build a fortress. Luckily for you, this is one of those positions where you're actually the one with the breakthrough. So your opponent is the one that has to figure out what to do, because then you're just going to play rook to a7, rook to a8, play a4, make him take, right? And then you suddenly have a rook here, and then you're going to play like rook to a1, you're going to play rook
it's workable at that
a2.
point. There's a hole. You can do something.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm just loving the fact that someone's like, didn't expect you to be a patient teacher.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I am very patient. I had, 3 PogChamp winners? I had to be pretty patient with some of them. H5. So yeah, the rest of this game was just very painful because you lose material and then, you can't really hold everything together anymore. I like what you did here with a little bit of, just trying to spice things up a little bit. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in your favor, but it's still good that you tried.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of these lessons are a little bit more effective for people who are playing longer games, because
maybe I should start doing that a little more.
Maybe you should, but I know a lot of people like to play after they've had 2 or 3 drinks at night, or during board meetings, or, hard
I definitely think that my most common time to play chess is when slightly drunk or during meetings. Probably during meetings like 80% of the time.
Clearly
See, this is normal Spanish from this side. I'm not doing it that badly.
You're doing this great. Oh my god, this guy plays bishop d6. He's doing everything you're not supposed to do. And this is awesome. I mean, you're playing this exactly correct.
See, when I'm playing as white, I can totally do the Spanish. It's just that when it's black, I just didn't make the connection at all.
So yeah, here I want you to find a good tactic.
So the first thing that pops into my head is, can I do something with that pawn, like push it to e5 somehow and do something useful there? I think I can, because that forces the bishop back to c7, and then I have a fork on d6.
Exactly. There we go. Perfect. You got it.
Is that not what I did?
That is not what you did. You played knight to d2. He played knight to d2, but for some reason he played bishop to e5, so you got the free bishop anyway. So honestly, he was like, yeah, you deserve this fork. Even without playing it, you can still have my bishop, It's totally alright. Happens.
So
yeah, I mean,
doing well.
It went really well.
Wait, did I still lose this one?
No, you won this one after this move.
Oh,
you
good.
won on IC6.
God, I finally didn't.
Yeah, I think we looked at like 5 games of you losing. So obviously, I wanted to end on a game where you're winning, so you feel good about yourself. I mean, you played this opening great. Honestly, the Spanish looked absolutely awesome. You got a very decent position out of the opening, despite not playing the best moves. And you just missed this e5, and then he gave you a free piece, and then you won the game despite your 1 blunder. So you just played a good game.
Well, that's good. For once, I didn't mess it up too badly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think you usually mess anything up. I think...
we saw like 4 games where I had a really solid lead, and then I threw it every single time.
Sure. And we are trying to do that less by doing more tactics at some point, right? It's like if you were studying, right, and you just had like a TV show and everything open in the background, and you're just like writing down, like
that
copying
analogy
down
is
notes.
bad because I never studied in my
That's
entire
true.
time.
You were just a genius. I forget. So yeah, with chess,
not a chess though.
Not a
chess. I'm really bad at chess.
But I do hope you will be improving in chess. I have high aspirations for you. And don't worry, you'll always have mistakes, so don't feel bad about having a few. It's not like other people here don't have them. I hope everybody in chat also learned from this lesson.
I mean, they spent half the time saying how they're all better than this, which is probably true.
I don't believe that. It's the people who are the minority, the people who are not actually typing, that actually find this stuff the most helpful. I know this. I was always like, can somebody ask this question in class, because I never wanted to be the one asking it because I didn't want to seem like a complete dumbass. So anytime somebody asked a question, I was like so happy. Because I was like, I didn't know that either.
Okay. Hopefully then some other people also got something out of this.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.
We should do this again sometime.
I agree. I very much agree. All right. Peace.
See ya.
Bye. I think he is pretty good as well. I like him because he plays e4, e5, and he plays the Spanish, and he plays basically exactly what I play. The tips on the close position is definitely one of my favorite parts because I feel like people always ask me that, and sometimes I need to think actively what it actually means to play close positions. I'm like a coaching dealer. Well, now we just play Blitz on stream and then we wait for Amelia to tank his elo.